plan to really restart this housing economy at a time where many people believe we're in a pretty serious affordability crisis?
I think we are in a serious affordability crisis. We have, depending upon which economist you talk to, somewhere between a 3 and 5 million shortfall of supply of housing units against the demand that's there. So when these markets are out of balance, when any market is out of balance between supply and demand, you get price appreciation. And that's what we've seen. Since the pandemic, house prices are up 20%. Typically over the long term, over the last 200 years of American history, house prices appreciate on average about 2% per annum. In the last 3 years, we've seen house price appreciation of 20% and rent appreciation as well, because there's such an imbalance between supply and demand. And so, it depends on markets. Austin, because of the move of various people during the pandemic to Austin had a surge of multifamily housing development, and now rents are softening because the market is coming into better balance. But that's not true in many parts of the country, both rural and urban markets, because of this just enormous shortfall in housing availability.
What you're pitching is sort of a capitalist dream in the sense that it is sort of a public-private partnership of sorts. How do you, though, encourage builders to get into the places that matter? We had this amazing story on the Bloomberg terminal yesterday about how the real estate market is broken for everyone except the ultra-rich. Affordable housing, houses for everyone who lives in a suburb outside of a city in particular. How do you encourage people to build in those areas?
Well, you got to break the imbalance between supply and demand, because if you have excess supply, it'll affect the housing costs in all segments, both affordable, middle, and high end. As middle-income people move into higher-income houses as their income increases, that creates availability. It creates availability. So my idea, and I'm not, unique in this, there are a number of people who think this is a needed federal program, is to provide concessionary mezzanine financing. Typically, construction is done 60-40, 60% senior debt, 40% equity. The idea here is to have the government step in and provide a mezzanine layer of 20%, allowing the equity to be slightly more levered.
Through Fannie Freddie.
Well, it could be done, if Congress stepped into the breach, they could create a new financing bank, or they could authorize the Treasury Department's federal financing bank to do this kind of lending. It could be done by Fannie today. It could be reauthorized by Congress to have them do it across the board.